As a generational curse breaker, there is going to come a point where you will have no choice to disown your family, and you will have no choice but to unlearn everything that you grew up knowing and believing. This is one of the hardest things that a generational curse breaker will have to do, but it is the first thing that you have to do to truly step into your purpose of being a generational curse breaker. So it is something really hard to do. Giving up the family that you were born into and that grew up knowing and loving. But life is going to get to a point where you literally have no choice but to disown your family and, completely cut them off from your life. And this is one of the hardest things that generational curse breakers have to go through. And as well, having to unlearn these toxic mentalities, this mentality of lack, this poverty mentality, because you are born into a family that is basically cursed, and just stuck in these negative, toxic cycles, these generational curses. So from the moment that you are born, it is very obvious, it's very clear that you are a generational curse breaker from the, from while you're, in the womb to your birth to after you were born. Everything is just so different. And the family that you are born into can sense it, can feel it. They know it. And growing up as a generational curse breaker, when you are very little, you are very wise. You have this understanding, this connection with the world, with the people, and with God. You have this very this ancient knowledge, this the sacred knowledge, the sacred ancient wisdom, that you carry, that has been embedded into your soul. And you are just born with this ancient knowledge, with this sacred wisdom. And your family can see that. They can see that you are very different, and they can see that you're very mature for since a very young age. And this also, growing up, you are very, very gifted. You're very talented, you're very ambitious, you're very driven since a very young age. You're very motivated to do whatever it is that you do, follow your dreams. You see this vision, you have this vision of a better life, not just for you, but for your family. And, you live your life to, for your family. You're doing all these things because you want to bring your family a better life, and so as you grow older, you go after your dreams, you go after, whatever it is that you want to do, you go after this change. And, these generational curse breakers are very successful in whatever it is that they try to do. They go after, whatever career they want to do, whatever they pursue, they become extremely successful. But the family sees this, and since they are trapped in this cycle of generational curses, the devil will often use them to stop you from fulfilling your purpose, fulfilling that vision that you have in creating a better life, a better path for your family. So ultimately, your family will end up getting in the way of whatever it is that you are doing, even if it means that it's sabotaging their own life, because they are just so stuck in this toxic mentality that they see you trying to break out of that, and they refuse to allow that, because they're just so stuck in these in this mentality and these toxic cycles. They don't want to break out of them, and the devil will use your family to get in the way, which oftentimes, generational curse breakers will literally do everything right, and they will always experience some sort of chaos, some sort of destruction, in their accomplishments and whatever it is that they are trying to do. So that is to keep you in those toxic cycles, in those so you don't move forward, so you cannot get that success and become or create a new way for your family. And that is when the initiation happens. Is generational curse breakers will find themselves, because these people often reflect, oh, what have I been doing wrong? What am I doing wrong that these things just keep happening, and I find myself at rock bottom again. I was this close to success, and out of nowhere everything just crumbles. Everything's crumbling. And when this generational curse breakers are in reflection, when they are reflecting, what they have done and why things are going wrong, it will go back to them having to see that it is not them, but it is their family that is ultimately holding them back. And that is the biggest awakening that they have, is that it clicks in their mind, oh my gosh, it's my family. And oftentimes the generational curse breakers will be experiencing spiritual warfare, and they will be experiencing attacks, from their own family. Their family will be attacking them and cursing them and attacking them through witchcraft and all doing voodoo, physically sabotaging their life, so everything falls apart into their life. And this is when they are at their lowest point, the generational curse breakers they awaken to the fact that the only way that things are going to change, the only way that they are going to be able to create a better life, a different life than the life that they have grown up knowing, being in these toxic cycles and being in poverty and in abuse, and in addictions, and just all these things that just keep you stuck from evolving, from being better, from having more, is it goes back to your family that refuses to change, because the generational curse breaker has already done their part. They have done more than their part. They have done so much, in regards to others. They're not just doing this for themselves, but because they want better for their family. They're trying to find a way to get their family out of poverty, to get their family members to heal from these addictions, to get out of these toxic, abusive relationships, these abusive, toxic mentalities, and they don't want to. And so that is when the generational curse breaker will have no choice but to remove themselves from their family, where they will have to disown themselves. And that is one of the hardest things that you'll have to do, is completely disown your family and start your own life. And that is the biggest step to your life's purpose, your soul's purpose as a generational curse breaker, is breaking out of this family. And that is the start, and that is how you break the cycle, is by breaking free from this family, breaking free from this bondage that you are bound to with this family. This you cut the cord with this family, and that is the only way that you are able to be a generational curse breaker, is by breaking out of this cursed bloodline, out of this family, and starting your own path on your own. And that is very hard, but it is very important to have faith and to know God and to know that He is right there with you. You may have to give up your mom, your dad, your siblings, your cousins, your aunts and uncles, everything. And you will find, and it will become lonely. You will find yourself so alone. And this especially goes for generational curse breakers who are struggling, who have kids, and they refuse to, they refuse for their children to experience the same things that they had to grow up, that they experienced growing up. And I myself am a generational curse breaker, and that was, what pushed me to disown my family, to break this cycle, to break this connection with my cursed bloodline, is because I refused to let my daughters carry this burden, that I was born into. And I refused to continue these cycles of failure, these cycles of everything falling apart, these cycles of abusive relationships, these cycles of addictions, these cycles of this negative mentality, this lack mentality, this poverty. And I refuse to raise my children to live like that. And I myself had to disown my family, and it was really hard. It was extremely hard. And it still hurts. There's times where I think about my family and I miss them, and it just hurts to think about them, because I tried, but we cannot save our family. And that is another thing. And that is another thing that we have to accept. We have to realize that is another thing that we have to awaken to, is that we cannot save them. We did our part, and that is the difference between the generational curse breaker and the cursed bloodline, is that they refuse to change. They refuse to break those cycles. And life is going to push you to do it. You will have no choice, because you have tried. You will become just so tired. You will become so over these cycles, and you will have to choose yourself and your future over your family that you have grown up knowing. And it is really hard, and it gets lonely, and a lot of generational curse breakers will experience, being homeless, having, no job, having to just start from the bottom, and something that helped me was, this is why it's so important to believe in God and to trust God and to know that He is here for you, that He is your Father, your Heavenly Father. And that is, how that is where, your faith must be used. You have to use your faith. You have to step into your faith and believe and trust in God fully and know that He is your Father, because at that point you don't have a family, but you have to remember that you do. You have a Father in heaven, your Heavenly Father, and you have your mother, your Mother Earth, and this earth is your home. You may be homeless, you may end up homeless, after disowning your family, but you have a home, which is your Mother Earth, and you have a Father that is going to provide for you, which is your Heavenly Father. And putting that into that perspective will help you. You're not alone. You have a family. You cannot see them, but they're there. God is there, and Mother Universe is here as well. And that is when you should connect, when you need to go out into nature and spend time with your mother, with Mother Earth, and ground yourself and connect to the universe, to the world, to the earth, and talk to God and ask Him to provide and to give you the things that you need, and you will receive it. You ask and you will receive. So that is the hardest thing as a generational curse breaker, but it is the first step in in doing it, in becoming a generational curse breaker, is to break free from that family. So if you are a generational curse breaker, just know that you are not alone. Your Heavenly Father is here for you, and Mother Earth is here for you as well. You just have to go to them and trust in them. You are not alone. There are so many other generational curse breakers going through the same thing, and it is not easy, but you were born for it, and you have that ancient wisdom. You have that love. You have that mentality. You have that resilience, and you have so much to do, so much to give. You have so much talent, so much drive, so much ambition. You can do it, and you will do it, especially if you have kids. Your kids don't deserve to carry the burden. You are the generational curse breaker for a reason, and that is so your kids don't have to go through the same thing that you had to.